Hello everyone, and welcome to Nina Williams In Depth. I'm your host, Friendly Tree, and today I want to talk about Nina's Stiletto heel, or down back 3. Now I'm happy with all the settings here, but I've made sure they're all correct, so we're good to go. Why is it called Stiletto heel? Well, that's the name in the move list, that's what I often seem to say. And importantly, I need to mention that this is the first low that we're going to talk about in this series. So Stiletto heel, as well as calling it that being the name in the move list, look at the move, okay? It's sort of a sideways scuff where she attacks with her heel. It'd be great if it wasn't low parryable because it was a weapon, but I guess a heel is still the foot in this game. And she doesn't necessarily have heels all the time, does she? She can be barefoot to do this move. So the input is down back +3. You kind of have to do the move within the same proximity, which means you can't be crouching and then do it. You can be walking back and then hit it. And of course you can do it in recovery, just sort of holding the direction and mashing 3. But that's kind of the only way to do the move. You can see it's a low, meaning the opponent has to block low, and on hit it's +4, forcing the opponent into crouch. So that's a recent buff. It used to be +3, but a recent buff in Season 3 made it +4 on hit. We can also see here the startup is 20 frames, and 20 out of 20 meaning there's only one active frame for this move, so it's always +4 if it hits. Range wise, it's about range 2.4, so that's about the max range. If I try and get to 2.5, it might work, but it's pretty, so probably like 2.46 or something is the, 2.47ish is kind of the range where it'll work. So I'd say 2.4 is about the level where you want to do it. The maximum level where you want to do it. Okay, so we talked about it being +4 on hit. On counter hit, it's got special properties as well as the extra damage, so it knocks down and it gives you guaranteed hits. So similar to the back 3-4 knockdown, except you can see instead of them being face up, feet away, they are now face down, feet toward. So you can do, you got to get your timing right for the forward 3, sorry. If you delay it too much, it can be avoidable, but you can do a forward 3, you can do a forward 1+2, and you've got other Oki you can do as well. So guaranteed hits on counter hit, which is very nice. What else? Let's talk about the tracking quickly. So it's weak to sidestep right. I'll just demonstrate sidestep left first. So if we do that, you can see it'll catch sidestep left. Catch sidestep left at any frame really. Let's guard so we can show. Yeah, so sidestep left is going to catch all the time. Sidestep right on the other hand, it's very weak to sidestep right. So +8 it'll catch. I think anything lower, no, +7 it'll catch. Making me look like a liar. Anyway, so you need to be at a certain frame advantage for it to work. There you go, +5 there, because in Nina's positioning, that's not going to work. Oh, now we're doing it. Yeah, so you can see that it's pretty weak to sidestep right. That's all we really needed to demonstrate there. The other thing I need to demonstrate is this low, while it's good for pressure, it's also got a lot of risk involved. So, for example, we've gone +8 into it, because, to make the sun interruptible, you really need to find something +10, which you're not going to find very often. Like even sidestep 1, unless the sidestep 1 is on hit, you're not going to have that kind of frame advantage. So there's always going to be a chance to interrupt it, and this move has no high crush at all. So, fast counter hit launches. Oh, I didn't pick up. I'm sad. Yeah, fast counter hit launches are gonna are gonna work very well against this move. If we go to block, actually I can just set it like that. If we go into block, you can see it's -13. So you also need to be careful against characters that have 13 frame launches, or compared to Nina's other lows, anyone that cannot launch, well, Akuma is the only character that can launch that really without a laser meter, but except for Akuma, any character with like a 13 frame launcher, any character that cannot get a high punish or a different punish compared to down 2, you want to be very cautious with using this move. So you've got to be cautious against fast counter hit moves, and you've got to be cautious, fast high counter hit moves, and you've got to be cautious against people that can launch I-13. Well, launch I-13 from crouching. And yeah, just the reminder with the Kuma is, with this low 2, he can launch I-12. So yeah, you've got to be very careful. But that's where you've got to be careful, because it is minus 13, so it's a higher risk one of her lows, although not as risky as that or that. Oh, I did a wipe the floor video, didn't I? So we have talked about lows before. Oh well. Someone will point that out in the comments for me. Thank you very much when you do. So I guess that's the properties of the move. Time for us to go on to application. Alright, how do we use Stiletto Heal? Well, for starters, I mentioned before you've got to be very cautious about people that can launch negative 13 low moves. So that includes Edie, Josie, Kazuya. And then you need to consider also that Akuma can launch it if he's got meter with his down 2, but he can launch negative 12 moves, which means he can launch pretty much any low that you use. Yeah. So, pretty much I'd use it less against characters like Kazuya, Josie, and Edie, because they can all consistently launch this. So for example, compared to Side Step 4, even though this is neg 14, Edie cannot launch it because his while standing 1-3, which is his 13 frame while standing launcher, is a high at the start, so you recover crouching, or you can evade it with this move, while with this move you can't. So you've got to be very cautious of that. The other thing I pointed out is you've got to be very cautious about people with fast, high counter hit launches. Or even just fast, high counter hit moves. So things like Fiend's back 1, Jack's forward 2, but then getting even scarier into things like Nina's magic 4, Anna's magic 4, Julia's magic 4, anyone with a magic 4 or a good magic 4. You've got to start being very cautious of that. And to be honest, it doesn't even have to be that fast. Like Nina's back 4 and Nina's forward 3 and other moves like that are also a big threat to this. Because, I mean, for example, do that, and I just stuffed up the recording. Oh, that's an idiot. So if you do that and you're plus 8, then you can do like a magic 4 and it'll work. But if you're not at plus 8, which is rare, they can throw something else like that, or oops, why am I getting hit? Or that. And I mean, that's not nice to get hit by, is it? Yeah. You don't want to take 85 damage at the risk of getting plus 4 and 17 damage, do you? Okay, so that's the caution, and generally I think when doing these kind of mind games or figuring out when to use this move, it's kind of a case between doing a down back 3 or a down 2, because they're both the same speed startup, with different mind games attached, of course. Down back 3 has the more established frame advantage, and this is where you can really use it to pester the opponent. Do it as a test at first, so you can just use this as a poke to catch people, especially if they don't have fast counter hit moves they can use, or something that can launch it. But you can use this just to see how they'll retaliate, of course, but most people these days are going to respect it, because they're like, oh, I know that got buffed, I know it's got more frame advantage, they know they can't do much here. Obviously you can do it against people more once they're crouching, if you know that they're playing on the player 1 side, so they cannot sidestep right from crouch, unless they've got certain equipment, of course. So you can just use this to kind of poke and see how they'll respond. And obviously if they do start retaliating, you can just throw things out like your magic 4 or something like that. But I'm talking about the risk of getting the move to work, I suppose. So you can do safe checks while you're at it, like you don't have to do it and then just defend. You could do it, then do a down forward 1-2, and that's pretty low risk. Since it got made but plus 4, people aren't really going to be able to backdash that. Yeah, that's right. Dash. So, okay. You still got to be careful. But it's a hard read from them to do. So you can still use this as a lower risk case on telling how they're going to react. What you could do a down forward 4. Down forward 4 might be a better option, but they can step that regardless. But yeah, you can use these sort of safer situations to test how they work. If you want to go for riskier ones, because you're +4 and they're crouching, most characters are either going to get a down 1, which is nothing, unless you're Akuma once again with his down 1 too. Oh god, be careful against Akuma, guys. But you could gamble quite a lot, and you could do things like a down forward 2, which if they press any button at all will hit them, or you could even do a forward 3 or a back 4, because if they do something like a while standing 4, that will win, and it will counter hit launch them for a lot of damage. But of course there's a lot of risk involved with doing that, so think about it before you do it. But that's really it. So you don't have any lows you can do that can't be interrupted except for down 4, which is a bit average. So if you're wanting to use it low into low, which is a thing, it's not real frame advantage though, you need to know that they're going to respect the situation, so you need to have that established already. And it could just be from doing things like down forward 1, 2, or down forward 4, or 1+4, whatever you want. Just something that's more like a checking tool to try and get more damage. But once you know that they're going to be a bit more patient, you can start throwing it out a bit more. I did also mention about getting the frame advantage so you can do it. So down forward 1+2, a lot of people weren't happy with the change to its frame advantage. Sorry, not the change, the change to its pushback, which actually means that now you can get a down back 3 all the time. And you notice because it's +20 and this is a 20 frame move, it makes it so they can't low parry this or this. So you can use it as a genuine mix-up here because they can't step it or anything. So once again, being cautious that they're not going to use a launch punisher on you there, or a high reward punish if they do block it. But you can mix it up with a launcher. So you got mind games there, and they can't low parry, which is brilliant. Brilliant. Other than that, it's kind of hard to set up the frame advantage to use this move. It's more just a way to sort of start your momentum, start your pressure, in my opinion, because you could do that, and you could do a down forward 1, 2. You could get a 1+4 on hit, and you're in the same situation again. So you can, I think I talked about this in a previous video, if you can get them into a loop with this move and this move, on hit, come on, you're getting them into the same situation. So you can just play your mind games out of there, and it's one of those things where if you know how they react in either of these situations, you've got a mid and a low, so you've got a mix-up you can do to get them in that situation. So it's a good way to establish an instance in a match where you can gain control. Okay, there's so much more we can talk about with this move. Let's talk quickly about the Oki. So I mentioned before, you can get a forward 3, forward 1+2, quarter circle forward 3, you can get whatever you want really. And then similar to another video, or the other video I did before, you can get a dash up Geyser Cannon, and that'll be guaranteed if they get up in any way, including if they stand up normally, it'll launch them back turned. Yeah. But another thing you can do is you can do up forward 1. So this is lower risk. It's the same as Geyser Cannon because you're not going to get them if they stay grounded. But yeah, at least you recover a bit faster, and you can recover standing, or well, you recover crouching. Sorry. So it's a bit of a lower risk option to the Geyser Cannon, and you'll see I'm hitting them backward if they stand up normally, but if they do a wake up backward, you get them, and it's guaranteed as long as you're fast enough. It's just a small dash into it. Yeah. So that's a good option to add if you want. Oh my god. What you should really be doing anyway. Oh, yikes. Something like that. Oh well. Yeah. So that's another option you can use instead of going for the Geyser Cannon, which can be riskier. You can also go for upward 2-1, but they wake up backwards and it'll whiff, so not so good. But the same principles apply that I've talked about in the past, where if you use forward 3, you can counter hit launch them, and if they're near the wall, you use forward 1+2, because if they get up in any way it'll wall bounce and it's still guaranteed to hit. So both of those are guaranteed, and depending on what the opponent does, you can get much greater rewards for using those two options. Not bad for guaranteed hits, is it? You can, this is a bit of a pseudo mind game, it's not real, but, oh, sorry, if they stand up and you hit them with that, you hit them backwards, and you've got a bit of a mind game you can do from there. Obviously that's avoidable, but it is an option you can do. Okay, what else do we need to talk about? Oh yeah, knockdown. So let's say we hit the opponent, we do something like that. If we hit them like that, you'll see it beats them tech left. It won't beat hit right though. But if we do different things, like if we just end in a course forward 1, you can make it hit. You can also change your timing with this and make it so they can avoid it. So that's just about like doing a triple dash instead of a double dash. So it's pretty much the principle of if you tap forward, Nina will realign to the opponent. So you can still make it home in a way. I can't bother demonstrating like that. You get the idea. So you can use it in Oki. You can use it once you've knocked the opponent down in some way. You just have to be ready to do that triple dash. And to help establish why this is useful, we'll do a wake up low kick. Yeah. So it's a good situation to do it. They can still stand up and block it, but you can use it as a bit of a wake up mix up game. And it's up to you what you want to use it with. Because you're doing a triple dash, I quite like to do it. I quite like to do it with a while standing 2. You could also do it with a down forward 2. While standing 2, of course, is unsafe, but launches crutches. So if you're doing it as a mix-up, you want to do it with an option that will launch crouches. So that's just a bit of a mix-up you could do on a knockdown, and it's in a couple of different situations. You just have to figure out how far to dash. So it can be used as a knockdown mix-up in quite a few scenarios. Yeah. So it's a good way to keep your pressure going again. But once again, you do have to be careful, because if they block it, a lot of characters can launch you. Or, I mean, Nina's punish isn't that bad either, is it? 35 damage and a potential wall splat. Most characters can wall splat it, so you don't really want to be using it near the wall either. It's probably not a move I use near the wall myself that often, unless I'm doing it as part of sidestep 1 pressure. But as I talked about before, it's kind of hard to get that frame advantage, so you need to be careful even with your sidestep 1 pressure before you use a move like down back 3. Because, we don't really need to change, but if you do sidestep 1 cancel into, oh god. If you do sidestep 1 cancel into down back 3, there's still a huge gap there. So if they do a quick counter hit move and it can be a high, then they'll beat you. So a lot of the time it's better to do something like down 2 if you want to do a low, just because it's lower risk and it'll go under things. But it still has its use, it still has its merits, and if you can confirm the sidestep 1's hit, then they can't do anything except block, so it becomes better then. So you can, if you do that, you can incorporate it as part of your sidestep 1 pressure. But if we do that, oh, yikes. If you do that, we really want you to be doing it, confirming the move's hit first. And then at the wall, you can mix it up with down forward, but with another sidestep 1, which is interruptible, or a down forward 1+2. And then, like I said, you can do things after hit. You can do things like a down forward 2, down forward 1-2, and I mean, if you do this into a down forward 1-2 at the wall, they can't backdash the down forward 1. So on hit, and you can go into your sidestep 1 pressure again. So it is a good way to keep the pressure going, along with 1+4. So it's just, I reckon it's a good tool to mix up here. You just need to be careful about people with fast counter hits. And if you know that they've got a fast counter hit, or if they're thinking about that situation, use down 2 instead. Or you can bait them to do it and duck and launch. But yeah, don't be too telegraphed with this move, because if they realise the time you're going to do it, they've got 19 frames from when you started up where they can counter hit you with it. 20 frames technically, because in a lot of... No, actually not 20 frames, because it's got good counter properties, never mind. I was going to say 20 frames because it might trade and they might get launched, but no, they get knocked down, so that's good. Yeah. To be honest, I think that's everything I can go about with the video, with Stiletto Heel, and I've probably rambled on more than you guys want to hear. So let's go to the summary. Nina's Stiletto Heel, or down back 3, is a 20 frame low attack. It is strong to Nina's right, meaning it'll catch people stepping sidestep left, but it is weak to Nina's left, meaning it'll whiff against people who sidestep right. As long as you're not at enough frame advantage where they can't step in time, or depending on the character's sidestep in some scenarios. It is +4 on hit and forces the opponent to crouch, meaning it's great for applying pressure and pretty much just continuing your momentum, giving you the same positioning and scenario as an ivory cutter on hit, making it a good for a mid-low mix-up to begin pressure and to get a read on how the opponent's going to react, because it's a move that many people are aware of has frame advantage, including the recent buff making it from +3 to +4. On counter hit, it knocks down and gives guaranteed follow-ups or Oki for higher reward, and you can use it after knockdowns in certain situations as an Oki tool for a mix-up with a mid or other options. Its range isn't too bad, being about 2.4, 2.45. However, it can be backdashed a lot after it's used, and one of the biggest weaknesses of this move is probably the fact that it has no sort of high crush or high evasion in its startup, meaning it's very susceptible to fast counter hit tools, even high ones. Also, at -13 on block, that's not too bad really, but there are a lot of cast members that can punish it quite highly, including Nina being one of them in my opinion. But then there are many characters that can launch this move if they block it, such as Edie, Josie, Kazuya, Akuma, and Eliza with Mita. So you need to be cautious about what matchups you use this in, and you need to be very careful about how you use it, just because you are left very vulnerable for quite a while if you use this tool. In saying that, it has a lot of good uses. It can be really good for applying pressure, and it's a very welcome move in Nina's moveset in Tekken 7. Do you like Nina's Stiletto Heel? Do you use it much, or do you prefer to use other lows such as down 2 or down 3 or down 4 or sidestep 4 or wipe the floor or can opener or 1-2, 1-4? I think I've just listed like every low she has. I probably missed one. Anyway, down back 4. Anyway, thank you everyone. Please comment below how you like this move, how you use it. I'm interested to hear. Please like and subscribe and continue watching my videos. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover, and I'll catch you all again soon. See you later.
You win.
What's done is done.